This video chronicles the week that I spent with this beautiful 78 Datsun 280Z, or Z, whatever you want to call it. This car belongs to a friend of mine, and the restoration was completed just before he bought it. So not only is it wearing a really nice coat of racing green paint, but it's also been completely gone over mechanically. So overall, this is a really well put together car, and it just needs that extra little boost to really look amazing. We had actually talked about doing this for a while, and now the owner's given me free rein to pretty much do whatever I think it needs. This video is going to be a long one, so feel free to grab your favorite beverage and come along as I share the entire process of giving this car a thorough paint correction and ceramic coating. And make sure to stick around until the end of the video if you want to hop behind the wheel and see what I see as I take this freshly detailed Datsun for a spin. But before we can get started on investigating the condition of this car, I need to get it all cleaned up first and strip any remaining waxes or sealants that might be on the paint. It looks fairly flat to me, but we want to make sure that we're working clean and we've got all the old stuff off and out of the way. So first things first, we gotta give it a quick bath, and then we'll dive into figuring out the condition of this car and decide what it needs and what it doesn't need, things like that. So overall, obviously this car has already been repainted. For the most part, it's just some swirls and scratches here and there, with some deeper stuff randomly. So we're going to be doing some spot sanding in some areas, and then a regular compound and polish in some other areas. You can see this one here, that's a deep one. And the worst is right here. As you can see, this is a magnetic antenna for satellite radio, and look at that. It's been sliding around and scratching up, and these are deep too. So I'm going to be spending some time sanding that, not to completely remove it, but to improve it enough that it won't be as noticeable. We'll have to be careful on that one. I've got some sanding marks on this side. I'm not sure if you can pick that up in the light. Some overall swirls and love marks just from washing. This corner has been repainted last year, I think. Somewhat recently. The car's been hit on this side. Luckily taken to probably one of the best body shops in town. And it looks like it was done pretty well to me. So we've got a little bit of refinement to do there. This trunk lid or hatch, whatever you want to call it, seems to have the heaviest swirl marks on it in the whole car. So we'll clear those up. Okay, continuing on investigating this thing. As you can see, I've marked the areas that I want to sand. Here you can see there's been a few stone chip touch-ups that I'd just like to level down a little bit. This is, I don't know if you can see in the square light. Yeah, right there. It's kind of a cluster of scratches. I'm not sure what caused that. Back here on the area that's been painted, got quite a few buffer trails and holograms. Those will come out easy. Over here, can you see that? This fender is actually cracked. Some more sanding marks here. Just about a 4-inch patch. Got a pretty decent scratch just above the tape there. Gonna spot sand that a bit. The reason why I'm spot sanding some of these is because A, they're pretty deep, and B, to just get those out with compound alone, you're gonna have to really work it and really heat it up, and eventually end up removing more paint than if you would have just sanded them down a bit first. So that kind of gives us an overall idea of some of the major defects that I'm going to need to fix in this. The next step is going to be to continue investigating what we've got going on here, and I think I already have my suspicions. So we're going to grab the paint depth gauge and take a look at the thickness of some of this material. So let's start on the door jamb here, which is always a good place to kind of get a baseline reading. So it's definitely thin. Okay, so here, as you can see, 227 over to this panel, 707. Okay, so that's so thick, it's actually switching over to millimeters automatically. Now coming over to the driver's door, see 683, 600, onto the fender, and look at that, back to millimeters again. So what this means is we've got some filler all over this car in different spots, some Bondo if you want to call it, and that's what's causing those super thick readings. Okay, so I just spent some time doing a few test spots to figure out what kind of a combination I'm going to go with. This section right here, I just did M205 with a foam pad, and it actually did a pretty good job. I didn't quite get into all of the swirl marks though with just a few passes. So over here, I stepped up to D300 compound with a microfiber pad, and then finished it down with 205 and foam. And you can see over here hasn't been touched yet. And if you follow it along to this section, that's what we're working with. So that's the combination, two-step correction, D300, M205. So I'm just going to go through all the little spots that I put the blue tape on. Those are areas that I want to sand. So that's the next step. Go through and hand sand those, and then we'll get to compounding the whole car. Alright, progress report. I finished my spot sanding. As you can see, we got some dull spots now. Now this, you can still see in the sanding marks some of those deeper scratches. Now keep in mind those were like all the way through the clear. So I just wanted to minimize them, take the edges down, and now when I compound this, these areas where the deeper scratches were are going to come out much better. Alright, time for a quick update. Roof is now compounded. Still have to refine it. See these scratches from this magnet. They're still there, but they're improved by a lot. That's about as far as we're willing to go with that. See from this angle, much less noticeable. I'd call that a win. It's not jumping out at you, and we didn't bust through the clear. And next up, gonna get on this trim piece along the rear bumper, and we've got some marks here, usual swirls, but we also have a few scuffs right there, right here in front of the license plate. Onto the passenger rear fender. This is the one that's been repainted somewhat recently. And the paintwork doesn't look too bad. Obviously it's got less scratches and swirl marks than the rest of the car because it's fresher. Some holograms left behind from the body shop, nothing major. So this will take a little bit less cutting than the rest of the car, which is nice. As you can see, I pulled this turn signal out just because I want to be able to get tight into these edges. And sometimes that's the difference between a good job and a really good job when you're polishing a car. So it's just 2 screws, pops them out. I would normally take it right off, but I don't want to mess with these wiring connections. So I'm going to be doing 1-inch pad around it and in the tighter area. 1-inch, 3-inch all around here, 3-inch, 1-inch around the edge of the fender lip. Alright, this rear fender is cut. Looking good. Looking real good. Still needs to be refined. I'll do that later on. Licorice brake. So I still have to boppity boopity down the side here, but this video stuff is really killing my time, so I'm gonna hammer down on that, and I'll meet back up with you guys when I get some more progress done finally. to give you an idea of how we're doing here, this is the before shot, and that's after. I don't do tape lines to do a 50-50 shot just because I don't want the residue from the tape getting caught up in my pads. I've been doing a little bit of disassembly on this car. You can see I pulled the wipers off just so I can get in kind of around the base of the wipers. And also I've been taking these turn signals off. Now with that being said, on old cars like this, you have to be careful with what you're going to be taking apart, because sometimes some things are just better off left alone, especially on old cars. If you're dealing with something that's been on there for a really long time and the bolts are really brittle or something, you got to be careful. So these lights are coming off okay. It's just a Phillips screwdriver, but I'm being really slow and careful with how I'm removing them. So I'm just doing kind of a quick pass down these rockers and just kind of bring a little bit of gloss out of them, but they're pretty chewed up. They've got some stone chips and just they're fairly weathered overall. But no stone unturned, I suppose, right? Wish I had a hoist. This is kind of tough going. You guys need to start subscribing so I can get a shop with a hoist. Alright, well, I got the compounding finished finally, and so now today, as you can see, I was hammering down pretty good trying to make up time. Got a lot of dust and some splatter from the compound all over. I wasn't really concerned with making a mess while I was working, I just wanted to get it done. So before I get started today, I'm going to pull it outside and just give it a quick wash. Yeah, I could wipe down the panels just with the IPA or something, but when there's this much dust and splatter everywhere, it's just quicker and easier to just wash it again. I'll have to be careful when I'm washing because obviously the scratches are now fixed and it's bare unprotected paint. Other update, I already steam cleaned the engine bay last night as well. Just trying to make a bit of an improvement there. I mean, it's a 40-year-old engine bay, so gotta manage your expectations there, but it's clean at least. So here's the setup I'm going to be using for polishing now. Got the Nano with a larger 2-inch Rupes polishing pad, and I just got these, I guess technically they're 6-inch Rupes pads. Going with a short throw DA and a larger pad because, first of all, the short throw is gentler. Long throws tend to be more violent, there's more motion going on. And we don't need to do a whole lot of cutting now, we're just finessing some already perfected paint. We're just bringing the gloss a little bit now and getting rid of any minor haze. Now as far as the final polishing step goes, this is going to go by pretty quickly. Because basically when you're doing a multi-step correction, it's always kind of give and take. Either the paint's going to be hard and it'll be difficult to remove any like scratches and defects out of it, but then it also won't mar and get hazy from compounding. It'll be super quick and easy to finish. Or if the paint is soft, it'll be the opposite. It'll be super easy to get all the defects out, but getting that last little bit of perfection to get all the haze out after you've done your compounding step is going to be a pain. So basically what that means is that this is going to go by easy and quickly. It's just a matter of getting a little bit extra gloss out of it. So I'll just be doing kind of quick, simple passes. And there's a few areas like around in here where I was using the blue coarse pad with rotary mode. It kind of left some holograms here and there. And so with this polishing pass, we'll be able to clear all that stuff up. And yeah, I would say in this case, the first compounding step or the cutting step was probably like 80 to 85% of the work. And so now we're just, like I said, just kind of finessing it down to get that final little bit of gloss and clarity. Well, the paint is finally corrected now. It's compounded and polished, so now it's time for ceramic coating. And I'm going to be doing Gtechniq Crystal Serum Light and EXO. This is actually the new version of EXO, version 4. Okay, wrapping up the Datsun. I think when I left off I was just getting started on the ceramic coatings, and I got a tiny bit of footage of that, but coatings are on. So I did a layer of Gtechniq Crystal Serum Light, and then on top of that is a layer of Gtechniq EXO version 4 now. I've got version 3 on the 4Runner and my Harley. So for the most part the car is done. I want to try and get it out into the sunshine to show you some direct sun shots, but unfortunately, of course, when you need the sun the most, it is not there. So I'm hoping the sun pops up at some point today, and I'll be able to get some nice after shots of how this car is looking now. There's a little bit of dust on it in here, but what's going on with my flashlight? Come on, you idiot. There we go. So it's still not a museum car, but it's looking really good. It's definitely a big improvement over how it was. Again, hopefully I'll be able to get out into the sun, because you can only do so much with a handheld light like this. Yeah, it looks good. Got into the door handle here. There were some scratches from fingernails, the usual. Couldn't get them all out, but it looks better in there. So I'm going to try and get some after pictures. I'm actually going to be dropping this car off at the owner's house to pick up my own car. Actually, after this, I think we're going to be heading straight to a car show with it. There's a local barbecue for charity at a kind of a small car show, kind of a deal at I think it's at a wrap shop or something like that. We're going to go and check that out. So I'm going to head over to that, and we'll see what this car looks like in the daylight, hopefully. if you made it this far in this video watching me playing around with this old Datsun, then thanks for watching. Work on this car was a lot of fun, I gotta say. After spending a week with this one, I've got a new appreciation for these Z cars for sure. The overall vibe you get from these things is it's something that you just don't get from modern cars. Just the feel and sound, and especially the smells. It also helps that this car's engine has had some work done. And I'm pretty sure it's fully built, but at a minimum there's no doubt that it's got a hotter cam in it, as I'm sure you've already heard this thing idle in the video. So that definitely adds to the whole experience. But I'm amazed at how nicely this thing drives for such an old car. Whoever restored it did a really great job as far as the fit and finish and sourcing high quality parts for it. It just seems like it's really well done. And cruising down the highway in this car is just a dream to drive. And I was really surprised. It tracks perfectly straight and it handles bigger bumps really nice. So overall, I'm really impressed with this car. It was a lot of fun to work on, and hopefully you guys enjoyed coming along for the ride with me here. I wanted to end the video off with some driving footage because I think it's important to continue to take them out and enjoy them even after spending hours making them look pretty. They're clean and they're protected, so there's no reason why you can't drive them and enjoy them. You don't need to lock it away in a bubble somewhere. I was on my way to deliver the car to the owner here at about 1 p.m. and just 2 hours later it actually won first place for best paint at that car show that I mentioned. And if that doesn't make it all worthwhile, man, I don't know what does. It's a really nice feeling when people appreciate all the hard work that goes into something like this. And hopefully you guys enjoyed watching it too. If you want to see more of this type of in-depth detailing video on this channel, then definitely let me know in the comments below. But that's going to do it for this one, so thanks for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one. See ya.